Hey everybody, it's Doug Woods again. Welcome to lesson number 4 in my little series called I Bought My First Guitar, So Now What? Lesson number 1, we went over the components of the guitar, and hey, say hi to my son over here. He likes to be a camera hand. But in lesson number 1, we went over the components of the guitar, the string names, and how to tune a guitar in standard tuning. In the second lesson, we went over a chromatic scale exercise and how you can use that to build finger strength and left and right hand coordination and synchronicity. In the third episode, we talked about the C major scale and where you play it on the guitar based off of the low E string, and we'll go over that real quick. Alright, and then how that if you know that formula that creates that scale, and we went over that pattern is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. If you don't know what that means, go ahead and check out that other episode. I went over it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me in the comment section. You can slide up tonally or down tonally from that and play any other scale using that pattern. Okay. That pattern holds true for all the major scales. On the other strings, it's just a repeat of higher and higher octaves, and we'll talk about that at a later day. Today I want to go through how to know, or how important it is to know the notes that you are playing on the guitar. So we're going to go over that real quick. How do I find the naturals, know what the naturals are per string? Now, incidentally, all the natural notes, okay, forever and a day, there's 7 of them. That's the key of C. So when I say where are your natural notes, I'm also saying where are the notes in the key of C. That doesn't mean a whole lot now, but it may later as we progress, if you're building chords or if you're getting into some solo playing and stuff like that. All right, if you know how that the fact that all the natural notes are in the C scale, it could be useful for you in the future. So let's go over that. Now remember, like I said from the very beginning, always, 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 especially, well, just always, and even more so when you're beginning, please tune your guitar before you start any organized practicing or even just noodling around. It will help you tremendously by the simple fact that in the early stages you're training your ears and your mind really on what sounds right. If you play with an untuned guitar, you're going to teach yourself that wrong sounds right. And then when you get to be at a level where you're playing, you won't hear your mistakes and say chord voicings and stuff like that. You'll have trouble with your scales, knowing when you're in key. If you're improvising, please don't do that. If you're improvising, you won't necessarily know when you slid in and out of key if you've trained your ears improperly. I know from my own mistakes, I had to untrain some bad habits. I wasn't real bad about it, but I didn't always tune my guitar when I grabbed it, or I just kind of checked and it seems like it's in tune to me, and I just went for it, and it gave me a little bit of trouble. I had to do a few exercises, a little extra effort to clean that up. But just don't even go down that road. If you always tune your guitar, you'll always be good. You'll be doing that ear training all along. So please tune your guitar if you haven't done so. We've talked about C. Now we're going to talk about how you play those notes in C all throughout the guitar, which are all the natural notes. The reason we focus on the natural notes is a sharp and a flat, if you need it later on in life, depending on what scale you're playing, is only going to be a half step above or below those naturals. You know the naturals, so if you know where A is, you know where A sharp is. It's just too easy, right? So, starting on the low E string, your open, which is when you play without fretting any notes, we call that open, is E. At the first fret is going to be F. At the third fret is a G. At the fifth fret is an A. At the 7th fret is a B. At the 8th fret is a C. At the 10th fret is a D. At the 12th fret, you're at E, 1 octave higher. And then it just follows suit. At the 12th fret down is just a mirror of from 1st fret to the 12th fret, or to the 11th fret. Okay? Now we're going to move on to the A. So A open is A, 2nd fret is B, 3rd fret is C, 5th fret is D, 7th fret is E, 8th fret is F, 10th fret is then going to be G, with the 12th being A. Going to the D, D is the open, 2nd fret is going to be E, 3rd fret is F, 5th fret is G, 7th fret is A, 9th fret is B, 10th fret is C, and you finish off at the 12th fret back at D. Now you move on to your G string. Excuse me. G is open, A at the 2nd, B at the 4th, C is at the 5th, D is at the 7th, E is at the 9th, F is at the 10th, and then G is at the 12th. B open, C at the 1st, D at the 3rd, E at the 5th, F at the 6th, G at the 8th, A at the 10th, and then B again at the 12th. Now we're at the high E string. It's going to be a mirror of the low E string, but we'll run through that anyways. First open is going to be E, 1st fret is F, 3rd fret is G, 5th fret is A, 7th fret is B, 8th fret is C, 10th fret is D, back to E. Now when you practice these, go ahead and say it out loud. It's not going to hurt you, and it's going to help you commit it to memory. And what you want to do is get to where you can play through these relatively fast. So it could be something like, ooh, now I got to think, because I haven't been working this enough. And so on. Alright. If you get to where you can do that, and then you can call them out by name later on when you're learning bar chords and stuff like that, you'll know how and where to build those real quickly. And the nice thing about bar chords, like I said, I'll teach you those in the future. If you know how to do them, you can play pretty much anything, whether you know the standard chord shapes or not. Now, we've been doing a lot of stuff that's based on theory and based on drills. I know that may not be that much fun. You're itching to learn how to play something. I got that. I know that. I was there once, and it's part of the reason it took me 6 months or however long it was to take lessons. We didn't have YouTube and the internet. There was no way I was going to get any kind of free lessons except from my friends. My friends didn't want to take this much time explaining that much stuff to me. They did a pretty good job. They taught me a few things, and then they set me on some riffs, especially little riffs that they wanted to solo over. You know, they used me as a rhythm guitarist for a long time, but that's okay. Now you've got the internet, you've got the opportunity to learn from me or anybody else. So I know I'm going to break up the monotony a little bit. You've been doing this, hopefully, this chord, this note exercise. I'm going to teach you real quick, and later on I'll explain why, on how to make what we call power chord in rock music. And basically what you're going to do is just primarily play them on your low 4 strings. You can play them up here in the higher on the high E and in the B string, and from the G to the B, but it's not really necessary, especially for this little drill. If you're playing off the open position, it's going to be a 1-finger chord. Okay, that's pretty cool. It's pretty easy. So what a power chord is a root and a fifth. I'll explain that later. What you need to know is the string under it, away from you, so tonally above your root, is going to be 2 frets down. Alright, and what do I mean by that? If I play a G bass note, root note, the 5th to make that power chord would be on the A string at the 5th. fret. Okay. If I move that up to A, my index finger would be on the 5th fret, and my ring finger would be on the 7th fret on the A string, or on the A string. So you could go G to A just like that. You can do that with alternate picking, which is almost a strum because you're dealing with 2 strings. Now, those were 2 fingers. I told you earlier that if you're playing on first position, it only needs to be 1, because instead of playing that index finger on the nut, it's not necessary. You don't have to play it like this. You can just simply grab that with your index finger at the 2nd fret. So to play an E power chord, you'd play the open E on the low E string, and on the A string you'll play the 2nd fret, which is a B. So the 5th of E is B. Alright, so you can drop down to the A, which is going to be the open A string, and then fretting the 2nd fret or the E on the D string. Right? And then you notice you have that same A over here. Now you can play around with that a little bit, have a little fun, create a little music. Slide those around to the naturals that you've already learned. Remembering that on the string next, adjacent to the string of your root note, so if you're talking about the 6th string, the adjacent string is going to be the 5th. That ring finger is going to be 2 frets away. Alright, if you do that, you'll have nice power chords. The cool thing about power chords is you can call them ambidextrous if you want to. They're neither major nor minor. We talked about the major scale earlier. Later on we're going to talk about the minor scale. But chords are major and minor, and I'll explain exactly why in a future lesson. But they only marry up certain ways. So in, say, the key of G, A minor works, but A major doesn't really work in the key of G. You can use it, but what you would be doing is transitioning from one key to the next. If I was playing a bunch of chords together and I threw in a major when it should be a minor, or a minor when it should be a major, it would really stand out. So you don't have to worry about that with the 5th chords. They're neither major nor minor. Okay? So there's something for you that you can jam around with after you do your constructive portion of your practice session, and you start to build music. And that's what the name of the game is, so I know you need to get into that early. I hope this helps. I got a lot more stuff I'd like to show people. So if you like this video, hit like. If you have comments or questions, please use the comment section below. And I hope to see you guys on the next lesson. Have a nice evening.